Any of you ever get that moment where you've forgotten something and you have a deadline due and now you're in some real doo-doo, and externally you're all calm and collective and it looks like you have an idea of how to get the job done, but internally you're screaming like, well, if you go to school or work for a living, you have an idea of what that feels like. Double whammy if you do both. Anyways, enough about me forgetting about this video and cut to this video.
Hello Internet, how are you all doing? I'm Ricardo, the Cynical Critic, and for the first time in 7 years, I wasn't looking forward to seeing the online show RWBY. Now that's not to say that I didn't want to watch it, or that I felt apprehension in seeing it, I just wasn't excited or looking forward to seeing it. To be honest, I kind of forgot about the show for a little while, and only discovered the day that the last episode aired that the season was wrapping up. I honestly thought that there was still 2 more weeks before that happened. But the connection that that show has had with me as an original fan has dwindled over the past few seasons. And that's the issue right now with this show RWBY, since at least Volume 5, and it's a big problem for the show's future. This is not only me. Sadly, many of the original audience of RWBY has been less and less excited in the next upcoming seasons, and therein lies the problem. RWBY's main reason for becoming so successful so quickly is not because of its visuals, as its 3D animation was initially poop. It's not because of its story, as Miles and Carrie is writing his shit, and it's not because of the world, as it's the usual crap of fantasy mixed with modern tech. It wasn't even the amazing characters before they kind of went downhill, nor the incredible fight scenes when we got them. At least before the original creator and choreography expert, Monty Ohm, died. No, it was the fact that RWBY already had a following and a fan base before it even aired. See, RWBY piggybacked off RoosterTeeth's reputation and fans back when they were a simpler company that mostly worked off of YouTube. However, ever since they sold their souls, things haven't gone well and it's alienated many of the fans. And shows like this live and die on the strength between the community and the creators. And 2019 was not a good year for the fans, and definitely not for the company. Unpaid animators, fired voice actors, failed shows, raised prices, ignoring the fans, pissing off the fans, and more fired employees. Yeah, I can see why many weren't exactly caring about looking forward to this season. Well, I've said many times before that I'm going to keep watching this show until its end, so that it can have its final say on whether or not it's good or bad. If not because I have faith that it might get better before the end, then at least because I want to respect Monty's legacy. Well, I watched it, and here's what
But Ricardo!
I hear you say.
RWBY just finished airing last week. How do you watch it without a first account?
Okay, for legal reasons, no, seriously, this is the world we live in today, where we can no longer just enjoy someone's art, we must sell our souls or be sued. But for legal reasons, I'm neither confirming nor denying any action taken upon myself in any way to have watched this show RWBY, except by legitimate means. Joking-ish aside, for all you guys need to know, I watched it on someone else's account, which in turn lies in another flaw in RoosterTeeth's pricing. Either way, the point is, I watched it, and here is my first impression. I remember back after Volume 5 and the disappointment the fans expressed about it, and how Miles and Carrie said that they heard us and they were focusing on fixing said problems. Well, Volume 6 showed us that they had little to no clue what the people were disappointed about. Easy if you think all the critics are haters. And Volume 7, which I like, shows that they still don't know how to deal with their failures. It starts off back where we left off in Volume 6, with the gang arriving at Atlas/Mantle. Technically they're supposed to be the same place, but I guess what they meant by Mantle being changed to Atlas? They just meant the rich created their own flying city, called it Atlas, and all them poor fools can live down in the slums of the old city where they belong. Don't forget to vote for me. Yeah, I guess they're trying to have some sort of classist subtext like Joker. But I have seen Joker, and this is no Joker. You two will never make anything even remotely close to Joker. Hell, why did you even go this route? We're in Atlas, home of the funnest haters in the Schnee Dust Company. Why didn't you go with that? What happened with the White Fang? I guess we just have to accept that that pitiful excuse for a fight last season is all the closure that Blake and the audience is going to get for that subplot. Because they barely even touch on this subject, except for a few throwaway, heady-handed lines here and there. Anyways, arriving in a stolen jet, the gang decide to sneak their way in. But the stupidity that was the ending of Volume 6 seems to have bled into this volume and our characters. They both simultaneously evade the popo, and yet don't. It's all kind of convenient. In fact, that becomes a trend, but I'll get to that later. The gang meet Ironwood, tell him what's going on, and join his ranks as huntsmen. Take that, Harry Potter, at least our characters actually managed to graduate. Sort of. However, Ironwood's iron grip on controlling the city is putting everyone on edge, and we can tell where this is going to end up. Because, like I said, Miles and Carrie aren't good writers. In fact, as we see throughout the season, nothing really happens, and yet a whole lot does. It was like they were trying to rush the plot, which, and I hope I'm dead wrong about this, makes me think that they don't think that RWBY will be on the air much longer. Because we go from the gang arriving to pairing up with another team as a blatant being a team is more than teammates shtick, to plots of collusions from our favorite phallus with a mustache, to subplots being built to just go nowhere, to fending off Weiss's father in the most unsatisfying way, to fending off the villains in the most unsatisfying way, to fending off a panicking hero in the most unsatisfying way, to the discovery of the Winter Maiden, to the farewell to all sense and reason, to the season suddenly ending. It was like they crammed the plot of 2 seasons into 1. And while last season had some good moments in the growth of said plot, this one did try to work on more of it, but instead basically went nowhere as it instead focused on our characters. Now, normally I would praise that, but while they managed to make us fall in love with each character, even the ones that only got like 2 lines back in volume 1, here everyone seems to be reading off the same strict script and had very few interesting growths, if none at all.
It seems in your quest to write a better story, you sacrificed the characters.
Are you feeling control?
Well, you certainly aren't.
They tried to contrive some moments in a few episodes, but the life from our characters is more or less gone during those moments. It was like the writers were more focused on making, ooh, look at that moments, than having anything of substance. Let that be a lesson to you guys. Never sacrifice character development or interest, because even if the story isn't all that good, we can then fall back on them and have a good time. But while I admit that midway through the season, things started to tense up as the enemy began to close in, and close to the end, while we still didn't have much in terms of plot development, at least we were getting excited as things ramped up as one thing happened after another. However, there is yet to be a season of RWBY, except for maybe Volume 3, and that's a big maybe, that they haven't screwed up the ending, and the last 2 episodes make everything go downhill in a nice, neat, ordered line. To give some main points without really spoiling anything, they kill off 2 characters. No one we know or care about, as they introduced them that season and really didn't give us a reason for us to give a damn about them. I mean, they really didn't give us a reason to care about the established characters, as there were either too many in one episode to develop, or again, 7 seasons in and the episodes are still roughly 18 to 19 minutes long. Come on, you 2, you're supposed to be making a real show. Make them full-length 22 to 23 minutes episodes. There's a lot you can do in 3 to 4 minutes. Not that. Get your mind out of the gutter. But speaking about the perverts, they also try to have some sort of meta commentary on the interpersonal relationships between the characters. But not only does it come across as forced, unfunny, and pointless, the 2 relationships that they are clearly being built go nowhere and eventually are just dropped from the plot altogether. Also, note for the writers, while you should know not to feed the trolls, you should also remember not to acknowledge the shippers. It's already annoying seeing people think that just because 2 characters were enjoying each other's company, they must want to fluff, than to see the writers try and poke fun at it, especially since it appears to come across as pandering rather than referencing. And to put the final cherry on this shit sundae, we don't even get a final battle. Yeah, the enemy suddenly attacked the city, causing chaos to bring the grim, but apart from a brief scuffle with Cinder, there is no epic final fight. Oh sure, we get fighting, we get lots and lots of fighting, but 2 important things are missing: quality and style. The fights were both brief and mostly without stakes, as they go by the books, so we don't care. They're just there to give us some quick action and nothing more. Plus, they do try to insert some sort of like anime-like style to it, but it comes across as out of place as it doesn't mesh up with the art style. And the real style of RWBY, the interesting choreography that played both with the environment and our characters' personalities, well, we again get stiff camera work and uninteresting music to boot. It really does feel like RWBY is becoming more and more like an anime. Not a good show like Fullmetal Alchemist or Avatar or Attack on Titan, just an anime. They hammer in so many anime tropes, anime poses, and anime humor, as if they're trying to convince themselves that they are a real anime. Well, what made RWBY an anime in the eyes of the public was the fact that they didn't care about being seen as an anime. It had an art style reminiscent of an anime, had some characters who looked and occasionally acted like they were from an anime, and it had the feel of an anime too. But not once did they really try to act like an anime. Instead, they tried to bring us good characters and good character interactions. But that, I suppose, is where RWBY is now. Only a shadow of the spirit it once had. But before you start thinking that I've been nothing but mean to the only thing that gives your life meaning, do any of you remember what I said as I began my criticism of this season? I liked it. Yeah, the plot really didn't go anywhere. Yeah, they rushed the story. Yeah, sometimes the characters felt off. Incidentally, I can tell that's not Crow's voice. Tone and personality are just not right. Feels too much like he's trying to impersonate Crow rather than be Crow. Yeah, the fighting had a quantity over quality issue. Yeah, they literally end the season on the worst kind of cliffhanger by leaving the volume with no closure. And yeah, it seems like they weren't really interested in bringing us another season of RWBY, except for the reason. But I still had fun. I still liked it when they got it right. I loved it when the characters were just their regular selves. 2 or 3 interactions really got to me, and once in a while the humor worked and did put a smile on my face. Heartless and soulless as I am, I might have criticized it quite a bit, but I enjoyed this season and will be still seeing the next one when and if it comes out. And that in lies the difference between a true fan and the kind that just say that they are, but are only blindly loving what is popular. I will criticize it when it does something wrong, but I will still love it. I have no fear in saying that, yeah, it's not great, but I also admit that it's not bad. And I will not condemn someone for saying that they didn't like it. Just understand that the joy that they once had from the show isn't there anymore, because for some, it really isn't. As RoosterTeeth is no longer the company of friends and family, so are both RWBY and its community. Now that doesn't mean we can't enjoy it, but you can't deny that a spark is gone. That the creative integrity that was once fought so hard by its creator is no longer important in comparison to the quarterly report. However, despite the issues this volume had, I liked what little growth we did get, what few genuinely funny moments we did see, and the fact that the show is still being made. Again, RoosterTeeth really had a bad year, and while most of that was their fault, I am glad that RWBY's story may indeed get to see its end. Whether it's good or bad, we'll have to wait till then to find out. I hope that they do better, but a bad season isn't going to have the final say. The last season, hand in hand with the rest of the show, will. Incidentally, I'm also glad that several of my theories were correct, or at the very least hinted in being so. However, I do say that while I did enjoy it, the problems are still there, and it may not be enough for some. I do remember hearing this season renewed some people's faith in the franchise, and I remember hearing that for Volume 6, and for Volume 5, and for Volume 4. And for, okay, you get the point. There will always be those whose first impressions were not so good, as well as those who will make themselves look foolish in saying that RWBY is the best thing since anime thighs. But as for myself, well, while it may change in the future as it did for Volume 5, my first impression with RWBY Volume 7 wasn't great. Wasn't bad, it was just okay. Wishing it was better, but happy that I saw it. Anyways guys, thanks for watching. How about the rest of you? What did you think about RWBY Volume 7? Did you even watch it? What was the reason if you didn't? Please, tell me in the comments section. I would love to hear your thoughts. As for next time, let's enter the madhouse and take a look at a show that deals with magic, war, death, and a villain that is the protagonist. But which one should I do? The Saga of Tanya the Evil or Overlord? Vote in the comment section below. Till next time, you take care of yourself, Internet, and remember, your first impressions may be good or bad, but you won't know until you give it a look. I'll get you guys next time. Toodles!